But I'm so pissed off today, I don't even give a damn about telling you about my New York Times bestselling book. I don't care about telling you about my subscribers right now. Because of this dude, Steve Bannon, all you right-wingers out there, you done pissed me off. You see, this is the BS that I'm talking about here, right? Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention. Because at least some of y'all, especially on the fringes, you full of You full of it. And I'm not going to let this thing go unspoken. It ain't right. So we going to call y'all out. I want to hear that liberal nonsense. You ain't listening to a liberal right now. I don't give a damn what you think. Just because I vote for liberals 90% of the time with the presidency, that don't mean I do it with everything else. But under these circumstances, with the kind of stuff that I'm hearing right now, I don't think anybody should vote for a Republican if this stuff slides. Now, what the hell am I talking about? Let me tell you right now, as we get started with the show today with politics. Jonathan Majors, I'm coming to you, bro. I'm coming to you. But I got to get this off my chest first. We're going to start with some politics and some headlines made by Mr. Steve Bannon himself. Remember, former chief strategist for President Donald Trump, Mr. Breitbart News himself? That's Steve Bannon. Well, guess what, y'all? He appeared on Chris Cuomo's show on News Nation on Tuesday night and said in no uncertain terms that he plans to support a push for a third term for President Donald Trump. Take a listen, please.
I'm a firm believer that President Trump will run and win again in 2028. So I've already endorsed President Trump. A man like this comes along once every century if we're lucky. We've got him now. He's on fire, and I'm a huge supporter. Want to see him again in 2028.
You know he's term limited. How do you think he gets another term?
We're working on it. I think we'll have a couple of alternatives. Let's say that. We'll see. We'll see what the definition. We'll see what the definition of term. We'll see what the definition of term limit is.
What the hell are you smiling about, Steve Bannon? That's BS. That's BS. Seriously, somebody needs to tell you. You got that wicked ass smile on your face. So is that funny to circumvent the Constitution? Is that funny to alter and circumvent the 22nd Amendment? I thought you were conservative. I thought it was about the Constitution. Okay? If anybody was against the Constitution or should be against the Constitution, it should be black people. Remember the Constitution had us as 3/5 of a man? Remember that? If anybody should want to go against the Constitution, it should be us. What the hell are you doing talking about it for? This is unbelievable. The hypocrisy of some of y'all, it makes no sense whatsoever. You don't have a right to talk about the left when you spewing that BS right there. That's straight BS. That's straight BS. Before I go further, though, let me dial it back just a second, because as I get into my diatribe over that bull that came out of his mouth on national television last night, I came on the show in the immediate aftermath of his appearance with Chris Cuomo. It was me and Bill O'Reilly together. And I took issue with Bill O'Reilly too. And rather than tell you why, I'm gonna show you why. Play this clip of Bill O'Reilly talking, please, and then followed up with me. Play that on News Nation with Chris Cuomo, please.
Okay, so that's a fantasy, and I don't really consider those kinds of things. It's not gonna happen, never will happen. It's not worth my time or your time. Donald Trump will serve out his second term. Hopefully he'll be successful, and then J.D. Vance will run for president in 28 unless something happens.
Respectfully, Bill O'Reilly, it doesn't matter whether it's not going to happen. It matters that people on the right who preached for decades upon decades about following the Constitution suddenly come on national television and say there's nothing wrong with circumventing it. That's the issue. The 22nd Amendment says it, okay? It explicitly states in the Constitution that for the presidency, there will be a 2-term limit. No person shall serve more than 2 terms. They know this. Now, these are the same people that spent decades upon decades telling us the Constitution, the Constitution, the Constitution. We're going to follow the Constitution. But now that they've got a guy in office that they swear by, suddenly the rules don't apply.
Amen. And it's less than 24 hours later or more than 12 hours later, and I stand by that statement. Suddenly, you don't give a damn. You see, this is why y'all are full of it. And I'm not talking about the right or the left. I'm talking about pundits. I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about anyone entrenched within the fabric of our political apparatus that exists today. You know why? Because you don't care about politics. You don't care about governing. What you care about is getting what the hell you want. Come hella high water. Which would be fun if you didn't accuse and denigrate the other side for doing the shit that you're doing. That's what you did, Steve Bannon. That's what you did. Now, let me tell you something right now. I got a team here. Got producers, researchers, all of that other stuff. One of my producers made sure to send to me, don't forget this man pled guilty in the border wall fraud case, okay? Steve Bannon pleaded guilty this past Tuesday to defrauding donors to a private effort to build a wall on the U.S. southern border, ending the case the conservative strategist decried as a, quote, political persecution. Spared from jail as a part of the plea deal, he left court saying he felt like $1 million. Remember that, Steve Bannon? Because I got more, okay? Let me just say this, because let me let everybody know who the hell I'm talking to, all right? I'm talking to a man who was the chief executive in August of 2016. You were appointed chief executive of Trump's presidential campaign. You refocused the campaign strategy. I'm taking off, these are my own notes, by the way, okay? You refocused the campaign strategy, emphasizing themes of economic nationalism and anti-establishment rhetoric, which played a pivotal role, obviously, in Trump's electoral success. You were the White House chief strategist following the 2016 election. You served as the chief strategist and senior counsel to the president. In your role, you were instrumental in shaping early policies, including controversial travel ban targeting several predominantly Muslim countries. Let's not forget that. Promotion of your populist policies. Let's not forget that. You advocated for withdrawing from international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord and promoted a more isolationist foreign policy, aligning with Trump's America First agenda. No crime there. Here's where the crime supposedly kicked in, Steve Bannon. Arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering in connection with the We Build the Wall fundraising campaign. Prosecutors allege that you and your associates misused funds raised for constructing a U.S.-Mexico border wall, diverting them from personal expenses. You pled not guilty to those charges. In the final hours of the presidency, however, Trump issued a pardon for you, effectively dismissing the federal charges related to the We Build the Wall campaign. However, presidential pardons apply only to federal offenses and do not protect against state-level prosecutions. Consequently, in September of 2022, you faced state charges in New York for involvement in the same fundraising scheme. In February of this year, last month, you pled guilty to one count of fraud and received a 3-year conditional discharge, avoiding additional prison time. Okay? Regarding your contempt of Congress charges, these stemmed from your refusal to comply with subpoena issued by the House Committee investigating January 6, 2021. Capitol attack, the Capitol attack, the riots, the insurrection. That's what it was, okay? You were convicted on 2 counts of contempt in July 2022. You were sentenced to 4 months in prison in October 2022. You began serving that sentence on July 1st, 2024. You were released on October 29th of last year. Basically, that's it. And by the way, you admitted to the $15 million We Build the Wall case. You know, the $15 million in fraud. Why do I bring all of that up? Because it's necessary, Steve Bannon. I, for one, am not interested in nonviolent people spending time in jail. I'm not wishing you were in jail. I'm not calling you a racist or any other derogatory names. I'm just saying that what you said on national TV on a Chris Cuomo show, that was BS. What the hell is wrong with you Republicans? What is this fixation, this cult-like allure and addiction to Donald Trump? J.D. Vance is his vice president, clearly capable of running for the presidency in 2028. Marco Rubio is nothing to sneeze at as our Secretary of State. He's more than qualified and will be more than qualified to run for the presidency of the United States of America. Ron DeSantis is the governor in Florida. He's another person. Nikki Haley is another person. There's plenty of people to run for the presidency for the right. This addiction, this fixation on Trump has reached to such a degree that you, as a right-winger who lives on the Constitution like so many others on the right, suddenly gonna open your mouth and say, we're working on it? We're working on circumventing our way around the 22nd Amendment in the United States Constitution? That's what we're doing now? It explicitly states No president shall serve more than 2 terms. Explicitly. We're working on it. We're working on it. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. I have never been okay with people bringing up authoritarian figures and some of their heinous histories. The Stalins, the Mussolinis, the Hitlers of the world, and others. And I'm certainly not going to do that with Trump now, no matter how much the left spews it. I think irresponsibly, I might add. But Steve Bannon, you did nothing to help dissuade or diminish or quiet those assertions, those venomous assertions towards Donald Trump when you talk about facilitating a movement and sparking a movement and working on a movement that's going to get him to get a 3rd term. It's wrong. Now you want to bring up FDR? You want to bring up what happened with him and how the aftermath of him only then was the 22nd Amendment put into place with you explicitly being limited to 2 terms as a president? So what you're saying is you want to go way back in time, huh? You want to go way back in time. How far back, Steve Bannon? What you trying to say? I mean, I'm just asking. Educate me. I'm all ears. What are you trying to say that you want in this country? Want black folks gone? Or at least drastically diminished? You want Latinos to go back from whence they came? That what you want? You want women subjugated to lesser roles? What you trying to say? Because if you're going to get away with that, what's to stop you with everything else? We know you contributed to Project 2025. What you trying to say? What are you trying to say? And see, this is what I get pissed off about. See, to be very, very clear, this is why I have no love for the Democrats. No love. Because you knew cats like him was lurking. And what do you do from a strategy perspective? Let me have open borders. Let me support that because that'll buffer our voting bloc. Let me act like a man that's about to turn 82 can give us 4 more years when you knew he was declining. Let me talk about how the economy is great when you knew inflation was going to ravage us. Let me not prioritize looking strong globally because we got stuff at home here that we want to facilitate. It wasn't a winning strategy. Even now on the left, one of the most popular figures is AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You know what the problem with her is? She'll never get a majority vote because she doesn't galvanize. As fiery and feisty and knowledgeable and articulate as she is, she doesn't galvanize. She polarizes. We have no one in the Democratic Party that galvanizes. That's a voice that resonates. I'm not talking about governors like Josh Shapiro and Westmore. I'm rooting for guys like them. I'm talking about national figures in the House of Congress or in the Senate. We got Chuck Schumer on The View getting called to the carpet, treated like a punk instead of a senator. Damn near helpless to do anything about it. Why? Because the world that we know it is disintegrating before our very eyes because your sorry asses on the left prioritized the wrong thing that didn't mean a damn thing to the rest of us. You forgot about black people. You took us for granted. You forgot about Latinos. You took them in the country for granted. It wasn't enough for the people that were here. You opened the borders. And you got somebody like Steve Bannon being in a position where he can go on national television with a straight face, smiling and cheesing like he taking photos at a red carpet event instead of being on a news program like News Nation talking about circumventing the damn Constitution. Just so Trump can get a third term. Where the Republicans at? Where y'all at? Y'all gonna go for this? I thought y'all were about the Constitution. My man Sean Hannity, what's up? What's up? You cool with them saying that? I don't care what Bill O'Reilly said about, oh, it's not going to happen. That's not the point. The point is, most of the American people don't know whether it's going to happen or not, and it scares the living hell out of them. And y'all don't mind the stress that you cause them in the midterm while rhetoric like this is allowed to disseminate to the masses. Excuse my language. That's up. That ain't right. And Steve Bannon, if the president is so big time and he's all of this and that, as the pastor has said, many pastors have said on many occasions, there's no success without a successor. How come y'all can't find a successor, Steve Bannon? Hell, the only person ahead of you in some of the polls on the right is J.D. Vance. Why don't you run then? Why don't you run? What's wrong with Rubio? What's wrong with Vance? What's wrong with Christie? What's wrong with DeSantis? What's wrong with Haley? What the hell's going on with you and Trump and some of y'all and Trump that y'all, I mean, this man passed gas, y'all call it perfume. He spits in somebody's face, y'all say it's raining. Where's your heart? Where's your guts? You can't stand up to him? You can't sit up there and say, yo, cultivate a successor, breed one, make sure there's somebody next in line? You can't do that? You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're not serving this country. You're serving him. You ain't serving God, you're serving him. Is it because there's something personally invested in it for you? I'm just wondering. Steve Bannon is a highly, highly intelligent man. He is not a dummy. He knows what the hell he's talking about. He's forgotten more politics and policy than I know at this particular moment in time. But the more I know, the more trouble people in. You're not only doing stuff in this country that's rolling back progress made via civil rights legislation and beyond since the 1960s. Now you trying to get a dude a third term? Really? You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself.